a lot that happened in in
Sure.
healing
Yeah,
in
yeah.
healing for me from 2011 to 2023, which is this is 2025 now in December that we're sitting here talking about this. But
Right.
in 2023, I kept going to these training events and learning more about the power of forgiveness and understanding that I deserve and was created for freedom emotionally, spiritually, mentally, financially, physically. But I chose to hang on to those bad emotions, and it kept my body from healing.
Right.
And it really did. The emotional garbage that I was holding on to from a child, from my teenage years,
Yep.
uh, and from falling off of that roof, from being in debt so much, just all those bad negative emotions. I held on to all of them because I didn't.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Running Strong Mind Body Connection podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bonnet-Natraj, and I'm so excited to have you here. So, this podcast is born from my deep belief that our true strength comes from within, right? It doesn't come from everything out there. It's about being in the flow in our mind and body. And each week, I bring in inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical wisdom from many runners, coaches, nutritionists, healers. I bring in everyday warriors, and it's just so exciting to learn and explore people I've never met before and explore their journeys. And today, I have an amazing guest, and I'm so excited to bring him on to my podcast, Glenn Beechy. So, when I was reading his story, I was like, what? And so Glenn tells me 25 years ago, he had a bad accident from falling from a roof. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine that accident. So we'll explore that. And he wasn't even able to do much physical labor, including his running. But now he can run again. And I love this part. And we're going to dive into this because this just speaks to my heart because he had a lot of spiritual and physical healing in the last couple of years. So he learned the power of the mind is major in the healing process. And if you guys have listened to my podcast, you know the power of our mind is a part of our healing. It's that mind body connection. We can do all sorts of modalities, but it's the mind body connection. Glenn Beechy, welcome to the podcast. So excited to have you here.
Yes, yes, yes. Good to be here. Good to be here.
So Glenn and I didn't haven't met, but he found me through a group that I belong to, and I'm being a guest and being on podcasts and whatnot. And I'm bringing in people that really resonate with what my podcast is about. So Glenn, share a little bit about yourself. Tell actually, where are you from? Where do you live, and where are you from? And share a little bit about you.
Well, originally I was actually I was born in Missouri and moved to Iowa when I was 10 years old, to southern Iowa when I was like a 10-year-old boy. And about 27, 28 years ago, so it was in 1998, I moved to Illinois, and I've been in Illinois ever since
Okay.
1998.
Wow.
And let me see, in the year 2000, I started my own business in Illinois, in central Illinois. And that's where I still am now, running my small construction business with me and my wife and several employees.
Okay.
And
So I grew up, my dad was a construction. He was a general contractor he built residential homes, and actually he had a employee who fell off the roof.
okay.
So were you a runner before you had your major accident?
Well, I was very athletic,
Okay.
very super athletic before I had my accident. I didn't necessarily run for fun or for exercise. I just did anything that was athletic. I mean, I played a lot of softball in school. I was good at softball, and played basketball in school. I played a lot of volleyball growing up as a kid. I was just super athletic, and I always chose to do things that were super athletic, like being on a roof. That was, uh, you know, the higher the better. The higher the better. The more dangerous the better. The more daring the better.
So bring us to that accident. What happened?
So in 2000, started my construction business. I was about 1 year into my construction business when this happened. Well, it was a little over, actually, it was in 2001. I believe it was in 2001. Now I'm doubting myself. But anyway, about a year into my construction business, I was out on a roof, on a metal roof, and it was a foggy day, very foggy day. I was broke as a joke, and I needed to work every day because I had nothing. I mean, I literally had nothing. I was renting, I was young married and was renting a small house, just trying to survive, and starting a construction business. It was tough. And so I would work on days that I should have not been out in the weather, but I was, because I was determined and I was not going to quit until I succeed. So I was out one day with two of my employees, and we talked about it, that it's dangerous to be up on the roof, because it was a foggy day, it was wet. Metal roofing is very dangerous when it's wet. I knew
Slippery.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that, but I was invincible. I was 21 years old at the time, and
Invincible we are.
yeah,
Yes.
you know, so fell off, fell off the roof that day. It's I can remember the scene very well as I'm every time I think about it or talk about it. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And got up there, was putting on the first or the second, I think putting on the second sheet of metal for the day, and I fell off, slid down, fell off about 14 feet, fell about 14 feet, went down head first, kept my head up so that I wouldn't like land straight like on my head. Kept my head up and landed on my shoulder, on my left shoulder, and screwed up multiple things that day. Instantly, my mouth filled up with blood. Uh, I mean, I had no more than got up off the ground. My mouth was full of blood, and I was getting ready to go back up go back up the ladder.
Oh my
Started
God.
going back up the ladder after I emptied my mouth full of blood. And one of my employees, that was like, he was probably 10 years older, 10 or 15 years older than I was, and probably a little bit more wisdom than what I had. Anyway, I started getting back up on the ladder, and he's like, "Whoa, what are you doing? You just coughed up a bunch of blood." I said, "I understand, but I'm gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. I'm good. I can walk. I'm mobile. I'm okay. I can still walk. We got to get this roof done. It's time to work. I'm fine. I'm not dead. I'm good. Like, I don't have any cuts anywhere. There was no open wounds or anything."
But that's okay.
But
Blood's
I
coming out
had,
of my mouth.
yeah, filling up with blood. I mean, continuously.
Wow.
And finally, he didn't let me get up on the roof.
I'm
And of
glad.
course, we kind of had a little disagreement there and everything. And he said, "Dude, you're going to the hospital." The hospital was about 10 miles away, about 10 miles away. And finally, I just kind of, okay. I mean, I started feeling kind of like, had a real bad gut, real bad stomach ache, real bad, like super bad, and kept bleeding like crazy, like insane. We had to pull over several times on the way to the hospital so that I could get rid of the blood that kept coming in my mouth. And it was just like, now at this point, like 20 minutes later, it was bad. Like, it was getting really bad, really fast. Anyway, to kind of condense this story, I don't know how much time we have here, but over the next 23 years, 20 years, 22, 23 years, I have, as I sit here today, I have had after effects from that day in 2001. Uh, I I tore my stomach away from my diaphragm that day,
Wow.
and dislocated my stomach. Like your stomach, I guess, is held together with muscle mass,
Right.
or held in place, I should say. Your stomach is held in place inside, in your chest with muscle mass. And I ripped it out of position from the impact. And I punctured my lung, had 9 ribs that wouldn't stay in place for, I want to say, probably around, well, it was probably in 2006 or 2007, years later, that I figured out that I had 9 ribs that were out of position for all those years. The medical industry had never told me that part. So let me back up a little bit. So I had punctured lung, punctured my spleen, tore my stomach away from my diaphragm, had multiple ribs that were out of position. And I don't know, to this day, I'm not sure if I had broken ribs or not. I just know that they were badly dislocated and they were puncturing my organs. Over the years, I went to, I don't have the list with me right now, but I went to a long list of medical doctors over the next few years. Well, first off, 2 days later, when I was in the hospital, I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. The doctor comes in the second day and he says, "We don't really see anything major going on. We don't really understand where the blood's coming from. We haven't been able to find anything. We did CAT scans, we did MRIs, we did all the things. We think you're fine. We think you're good to go home." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good with that." He took my neck brace off. I had a neck brace on for like a day and a half, took it off and threw it to the side. And he said, "I think you're good to go home." Anyway, over the next 12 to 15 years, I coughed up blood, not every day and not every week, but every couple weeks, I would cough up blood. And during this time, for the next few years, I had been going to different medical doctors. I went to a lung specialist. I went to an internist. I went to an eyes, ears, nose, and throat doctor. I went to numerous doctors. I did a colonoscopy. I did an angiogram, which is check your heart. Went in through my groin and went up there with a camera and did whatever they do. And I did almost everything that I could think of doing. I did more CAT scans. I did more MRIs. I did numerous things. And during this time, I was, for the first, up until 2007, I was still trying to work as I could. Like there was days that I would wake up in the morning and the first thing I did was I would go to the bathroom and cough up blood. And my breath used to smell like dead blood, like dried up blood, because I had dried up blood in my stomach that needed to get out in the morning before I did anything else. It was kind of a thing that I did. It wasn't every day, but it was like once a week, every couple weeks, and then it would last for a couple days at a time, and then it would go away again. Pain like you cannot even imagine. Stomach pain, unbelievable stomach pain, indigestion. It got to the point in 2006, 2007, 5, 6 years after the accident, to where I couldn't hardly eat anymore. But I in 2005, 2006, 2007, in that span, I became addicted to alcohol because it suppressed my mental state of mind and my physical pain to the point where I could go to bed at night and sleep so that I could get up the next morning and go to work.
Wow.
Because if I didn't suppress the pain that I was having, I couldn't sleep. It was too
Right.
painful to sleep.
Wow.
So if I drank enough alcohol, that would suppress it, but then that would stir up more bleeding too, you
Wow.
know, because I had multiple internal injuries. And it was like, during this time, I got so fed up and so angry over the medical system because they couldn't find anything. But I was still coughing up blood. So it's coming from somewhere. And I wouldn't let them cut on me. I wouldn't let them do surgery. Like they thought about doing exploratory surgery. I went to a surgeon, I think it was an oral surgeon. Anyway, it was a surgeon, a general surgeon. It was a general surgeon that I went to. And we talked about doing exploratory surgery, but I just, I, I told myself that surgery's not always successful. So I chose not to. I just dealt with the pain,
Yeah.
just kept dealing with the pain, just kept working as I could. It got so bad though to where I didn't go to work every day anymore after 2006, 2007. I started going to work every couple days as I could because I was in so much pain. In 2007, later that year, I found a massage therapist that knew how to put ribs back into place. And he told me, he was actually my great uncle. And I didn't know that he was a massage therapist because I didn't know him growing up as a child. I didn't know him, and I met him later in my life. And when I met him was during my sick time in 2007. And he comes over and he looks at me when I met him that day, and he touches my back and he says, "I can help you." And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, really? Well, that's what a lot of doctors have already said. You know, that's what a lot of doctors have told me." And he was an X-ray technician and a massage therapist and a kinesiologist. Like he knew multiple things. So I finally agreed to let him touch my body because at this point I was very picky on who did anything to me
Oh, right. You
because
become really skeptical.
because it might make it worse.
Right.
Anyway, so he found 9 ribs out of position, and this was at the point where I would throw up about 75% of the time. If I would eat too much or eat too fast or eat the wrong thing, I would throw it back up. So I had kind of quit eating a lot. I had lost a lot of weight. My left arm, where I had damaged my shoulder. Oh, and the other thing that I had damaged was my rotator cuff had been stretched, but not torn completely, but it was stretched. And I didn't have full range of motion on my left shoulder. I would have to take my right hand and put it into position, and then I could do something with it. But it had gotten about half the size at this point as my right arm because I didn't use it much. And he touched my back and said that I have 9 ribs out of place. And I said, "Oh, okay, all right." I had never heard that. No other chiropractor or anybody had ever told me that at this point. And they didn't find it on the X-rays or anything. Nothing. Nobody had ever found it on any X-rays. Nothing. And as soon as he put those 9 ribs back into position, I was able to start eating again without throwing up. What had happened is my ribs were so far out of position, they were cramping my organs. And he said
Sure.
it was making so that my organs weren't functioning correctly. And my spleen
Wow.
later, a couple years later, actually, okay, this gave me some relief for a while. Like about every 2 weeks, I had to go back to him to get my ribs to go back into position again because they had been in this position since the accident. So about 6 years they had been in this position, and they had kind of grown into place.
Wow.
They were they had grown a memory to where they wouldn't stay in place for more than a week or two at a time. Sometimes
Wow.
only a couple of days, depending on what I did. It would only stay in position for a couple of days. So anyway, long story short, I kept having issues over the next few years. 2, 3 years I kept going to him because this was the only person that had ever given me any relief of any kind. Went to some more natural practitioners later, and then they were the ones that told me that my stomach had been torn away from my diaphragm and my spleen had been damaged, and my spleen was swelled up and bleeding all these years, they said it looks like. And it was making so that my other organs didn't have enough room to function also, because my spleen was so big, it was so swelled up. And so we talked about taking my spleen out, but I didn't, because I didn't want nobody cutting on me. I said, I'll just deal with the pain. Don't just, no. I'll eat healthy. I'll do whatever I can, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And still addicted to alcohol. And I was addicted to alcohol for, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. And I drank a lot of whiskey. And now I was still coughing out blood. And in in 2011, I was right around $1 million in debt. So this was about 4 or 5 years after I had found this massage therapist, my uncle, that had given me some relief, but I still had pain. I was still addicted to alcohol. I was borrowing money from everybody that I possibly could to stay alive in my business, to feed my 3 children. I had 3 children at this point in 2011. I had 3 children that were small children, and I didn't have enough money to buy groceries for them, but I would buy alcohol for my pain, for my painkiller. Anyway, got some training, went to this training event in 2011 where they taught about financial skills, relationship skills, business skills, multiple things that they taught at this event. And this almost makes me emotional to talk about it, but so I'm going to probably cut some things out because it kind of gets emotional to talk about it in depth. But at this point, my marriage we were still living together because we didn't have enough money to even think about splitting up. I mean, we had nothing. I was still trying to run my business with $1 million in debt. Nobody would loan me any money anymore because everybody knew me. The banks, I had every bank that I knew, I had maxed out my credit with the banks. I had maxed out my credit with personal loans. I was writing bad checks on a weekly
Right.
basis.
Right. Take Johnny for Glenn for time though. Take me to your transition to where
My
you.
transition after this event in 2011, I started learning at this training event some business skills, some money skills. We left this event. I went home, me and my wife went home, and we made a list of all of our people that we owed money to. I still have that piece of paper in my desk as I sit here today. We wrote down everybody's name and everybody that we owed money to. And we came up with a payment plan that me and my wife both agreed on that we were going to do with the skills that we learned from this event that we went to. And we decided that maybe there's hope. But remember, I had $1 million in debt, making about $25,000 to $30,000 a year net profit. and I had $1 million in debt that I had to pay off somehow. I was told to file bankruptcy, but I didn't. And we just started paying off debt. We started shifting our mindset on how we think about money, how we think about mindset, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we started learning at these training events the power of the mind, the power of releasing people that have wronged you in the past, and how you forgive. Like, we taught the power of forgiveness, releasing bad emotions. We started understanding that our emotions are directly connected to our physical, with our physical body. With, like, I was never taught this stuff. I didn't know that my
Right.
emotions were connected to this. I mean, I
Well,
had
we
ran
never even knew what emotions were. You don't even have a language for it.
no, I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I had so much hatred and revenge and
Yeah,
unforgiveness. I had all the bad energy in my body. I was harboring all of it because I didn't know how to let go of it. I was never taught.
right.
I mean,
And that's a beautiful journey in life, though, is we aren't taught these things, but we can awaken to what our potential is through my own journey is similar, not similar, but we all have that turning point in our life that brought us to the depths of our pain to where we are today. And it's a journey. But the blessing is that we've moved from that to where you are today, and the realization of how much our mind is connected to our body and how our mind can heal our body.
oh yeah, majorly. But I had to learn all this the hard way. I mean, so fast forwarding from 2011 to 2023, there's a lot that happened in in
Sure.
healing
Yeah,
in
yeah.
healing for me from 2011 to 2023, which is this is 2025 now in December that we're sitting here talking about this. But in
Right.
2023, I kept going to these training events and learning more about the power of forgiveness, and understanding that I deserve and was created for freedom, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, financially, physically. But I chose to hang on to those bad emotions, and it kept my body from healing.
Right.
And it really did. The emotional garbage that I was holding on to from a child, from my teenage years,
Yep.
and from falling off of that roof, from being in debt so much, just all those bad negative emotions, I held on to all of them because I didn't
Right.
understand how to release them
Right.
until later in my life. And I kept forgiving myself. I kept forgiving other people, on and on and on and on and over and over and over and over again. And in 2023, I had this major spiritual manifestation, like a demonic situation, come over me one night. And I was shown for about 45 minutes that had been harboring demonic spirits that I had been entertaining. And I mean, not everybody believes in demonic spirits. I understand that, but this was me. This was my experience. I had demonic spirits that had controlled me in my emotions, and I had became so addicted to allowing them to control me that I didn't think that I could live without them. And it was I was shown that there's a blockage right where my pain was in my stomach. There was a block between my mind and my heart, to where my mind and my heart couldn't communicate. They were isolated from each other. My mind, my heart, mind body connection, it was cut off.
Yeah. It was disconnected.
It was totally disconnected.
Yeah.
And that night I was shown that it tied back to and this is a part that I share in my book. I share a little bit of this in my book, the book that I wrote, A Warrior's Path to Freedom. Um, I had had an affair on my wife in, I forget the exact year that it was, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And it was, you know, the thing that I learned when we do things that I had been involved in, adultery, alcoholism, being a womanizer, all the things, it had that had it had created a spiritual bondage. It had messed with my. It was like a mental. It's hard to explain, but it was like this woman that I was with. She had put a curse on me, and I was shown that night in 2023, a couple years ago. And I had held unforgiveness, grudges, hatred, all the things against her and many other people, and it had wrecked my life completely. It was it wasn't only because I fell off the roof that I had all this emotional, physical situation going on. It was also because of the things that I was involved in, the all the adultery. I had been involved in adultery for a period of time, and I didn't know how to like release that and forgive myself and move on. And it taught me that if we don't figure out how to release our past, it will always show up. If you don't release your mental garbage, it will always show up in the physical in a
That's
bad
right.
way.
So,
It always will if you give it enough time.
right. Because we subconsciously hold on to that. And you brought in a powerful word of forgiveness. And I know I learned that deep in my life. It's like I could blame the world out there for what they did to me, but number one, I was the main person in all those scenarios. And
Exactly.
I have to be the one to forgive me first. And
Yep.
sometimes that was hard, but it's really deep work. Forgiveness is a really big word, and it taps us into our heart. It comes from the mind and the thought of it and the energy of forgiveness. And
Yep.
then we have to, I had to go and forgive them. And if we do that reverse, there's still that resentment and guilt and shame and all that stuff we hold on to, but we have to forgive ourselves first because we chose to be in those situations. I
Yep.
mean, we chose to drink, we chose to be adultery, we chose those situations. And that's also a path to escape, to avoid, to be victim of the world, to stay stuck in what we believe is comfortable because we don't know anything different until we wake up to something that's different. And you woke
Yep.
up to those the spirits and those, and I do believe in that. And I don't know people listening. You had quite the story coming into this, and that was just really powerful. It's knowing that we're energetic beings and our energy comes in our body. And it's amazing for you to have your stomach torn and your ribs out of place and your spleen, everything not working in your body and everything that of going through that. I have always said in my podcasts, in my own life, the body will heal itself.
Yep.
The body is will heal itself. It wants to survive. And I sort of came that basis because my dad was a 24-hour alcoholic and
Yeah.
did that his whole life and died that way. And I'm thinking if he died at that at semi young age, it's like, man, I could do what I do and live forever. But the body, it just tells me the body wants to survive. The body wants to heal,
Yeah.
but it also comes with our thoughts. Our thoughts impact our emotions, which impacts our actions.
Totally.
And so I'm going to take a drink here. So that's why I work with my clients on that mental fitness part of that. But it isn't the mental fitness. It isn't always changing our thoughts. It's embodying those actions, embodying that energy, embodying that peace and love in our heart. And it comes with kindness, it comes with gratitude, it comes with forgiveness. And
Yes.
when you do that, you change yourself, but also you're changing the world that you're interacting with.
You got it. You create your own reality.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
just to kind of tie this up, finish this up a little bit with my healing, and I'm still healing as I'm sitting here,
Of
but
course.
I because I still have some fragments of some things that I because I lived with this for so long before I really figured out the power of the mind and the forgiveness thing. See, the thing we got to remember, I want to say this, not everybody deserves to be forgiven. Okay, that was my thought process. Okay, I'm not saying that that's the truth. I'm saying this was my thought process
Yep.
for a lot of years.
Okay. Okay.
Not everybody deserves to be forgiven. That was my thought process. That's not true. They do deserve to be forgiven. But here's the deal. If you don't think they deserve to be forgiven, go ahead and forgive them anyway. Doesn't Because you deserve to be free. And you can't be free until you forgive and move on. You got to forgive yourself and the other
So
people if you want to be free.
I want to add to that. If we don't forgive, we're judging them.
Yeah, we are.
And the other thing too is that we can, it's another way of acceptance. And it's accepting them for who they are. Now, we may not like it, we may not agree with that, and but we don't need to judge them. And that
Yeah,
brings
it's
in a better way or an easier path to forgive because you're forgiving them for their choices they're making, the harm they're doing on their own body and their own self, and just accepting where they are at themselves and to release your own forgiveness because you bring that love back into your own heart.
yep.
Forgiveness brings love.
It
And
does.
it all you have to do because so the other where what I teach too is us to find out to tap back into that inner child in us. We were born in the essence of love. When we were born, we were nothing but pure love, and then it all
Yeah.
falls apart after that. So we can tap back into our pure
Yeah.
love. We can
Yep.
tap back into the love in our heart, and when we can do that, we can see the love in other people because we all have that inner essence. We all have that inner love, even if we're acting out, or even if we're alcoholics, even if we're abusive, even if they are not acting into the true love that they truly are.
Yeah.
So,
It's, you know, I've had this conversation about forgiveness and releasing and all the things with quite a few people in the past. And I've had conversation with other men that they're like, "Well, I'm not gonna forgive because they don't deserve to be forgiven." Like, well, okay, I'm not saying they deserve to be forgiven, but here's the deal. You deserve to be free. And you
yeah,
can't fully be free until you forgive yourself and them, whatever
right,
they did.
right,
Not saying you got to go back and do business with them or be their best friend. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is forgive, release, move on, let it be. Don't have to go back and be their best friend if you don't want to. You can
right.
still forgive.
And the other thing too is having the what I learned for myself was this is I kind of hear the depths of this is that they are really doing the best they can. Everybody's always doing the best they can with what they have and where they are in life.
I mean,
And
hopefully,
in
unless they have a bad agenda, a criminal mind.
well, but with that, they're still doing the best they can with what they have. Now, it
Yeah.
may not be the right thing in life. It may not be. I mean, that I can look at that and see an abusive person, my dad, and he was actually
Hmm.
doing the best he could do. He was doing his best. Alcoholism, guilt, shame, all that stuff he was living with that he didn't choose to release on his own terms in his own life. And but he did the best he can with what he had. No matter where we are in life, we're doing the best we can with what we have. So that
Yeah,
talks
it's
about energy and frequency and all that. And so when we're down in this low energy frequency state in life, that's the best we can do. You can't go up to here because you're here and you haven't cleared that, you haven't forgiven, you haven't worked on yourself, you haven't done the work, and they choose not to, and that's okay. That's perfectly
yeah,
okay.
it's very sad that some people don't choose to. I mean, I didn't choose to for like 20 freaking years.
It's okay.
I mean, I was told I need to, and I
But we
did to a
don't do it until it's time for us to hear it, right? People can
that's how
tell
the
us
mind
and tell us
works.
and tell us. And the same thing with me coaching. It's like, well, if you just do this, no, until you made that choice, until you
It's
heard the
very
right
true.
words that you needed to hear and be in the right place, that you are in the right place to hear that message. That's when
Yeah,
it will land. Yeah.
that's
And
true.
this will land for whoever listens to this too on your journey and your spiritual path.
Yeah. It's but anyway, I went on to pay off all of that debt that I had, all the $1 million in debt.
Nice.
Paid all of it off, and today as I sit here, I have more freedom in every area of my life than I ever thought possible because it started with the mind. It started with forgiveness, releasing my past, forgiving myself, all the things, and everything else started to fall into place. My finances started to follow. My marriage got way better. Um, I have an extremely successful businesses today. I'm super blessed, but it's because I made choices
Yes.
that
Yes.
were healthy,
Yeah.
healthy choices. I
So,
mean,
and
I still have my battles, of course I do, but I mean, it's life is what we make it.
right. I love that. Life is what we make it, and we do always have choices, and our thoughts. Make your choices from the essence of love.
Yeah,
And when we start our day, the first thing we need to love is ourself.
yeah,
And
because
then bring that energy, always
exactly.
bring that loving energy to everybody else.
Amen. Because if you can't love yourself first, you can't give away what you don't have.
Exactly.
You cannot.
That's right.
You
That's
will not.
absolutely right. That's
You
absolutely
will not.
right.
You
Wow,
will not. Cannot.
what a great energy shift on the financial side of that. Excited that you and your wife are still together. It's
Oh,
amazing and it's just beautiful. That is super
it's a
beautiful.
total, total miracle that my wife chose to forgive me for what I did.
Yeah.
Total miracle. Total.
But she wouldn't do it until you worked on you, though. You had to
Yeah,
change. Because when
absolutely.
actually you opened up that door, when we can forgive ourselves, you open up the door for somebody else to forgive you as well, or be in that essence. Because our energy brings the energy out of other people. Like
You
attracts
better know
like.
it.
And so it's when you show up in the love in your heart, then you're opening up their heart. And it's all energy. It's all
Yeah.
energy and transformation. You open up their heart to be able to receive your love too. Glenn, what a beautiful story. What an amazing story. Tell me the name of your book again, and is that on Amazon?
Yes, it is on Amazon. I actually might have one right here. Give me just a second. actually the background that I have here, if I step out of the screen here, the background right there is uh, is my
The
book.
cover of your book? Nice.
Yeah, that's the cover of my book. And this is the, well, I don't
You
know if you
might
can
have to
see
get
it
rid
now,
of your
but
background. You can't even see it. You might have to get
yeah,
rid
let
of.
me
Oh, actually, bring it up right now. If you move back a little bit. Yeah, it's a
let me get rid
warrior.
of the let me get rid of the background here. Give me just a second.
Okay, try
Okay.
that. There you go.
See, that's the background that I
Oh, A
had behind me
Warrior's
a minute
Path to
ago.
Freedom.
Yeah, A Warrior's Path to Freedom. It's a men's workbook.
That's okay. That's
Um,
beautiful. Thank you.
so it's anyway, I share a lot of my personal story in there, and how the things that I had to do to find freedom in every area of life. I don't share all the details in there, but I share quite a few details. And the reason I wrote the book is because I have a heart for other men and women, of course, but just society in general. I want I want people to know that if they're dealing with unforgiveness, hatred, revenge, all the things, and they're in a hole of crap, they're
The
buried in
pit
crap,
of
and they
life. Yeah.
feel like there's no hope.
Out. Yeah, for sure.
I can tell you, you can dig yourself out of the deep darkest place, because I did. I was in some very dark places, and it started with the mind, with mental. It really did. It started with working on the mind and forgiving and releasing in areas that I absolutely did not want to. I wanted to go to my grave with the guilt, the shame, the unforgiveness, all the things. I wanted to go to my grave with that and take it with me, because I thought that's dying was the only way out. At one point in my life, I was suicidal. I was totally suicidal. I was so broke and broken that I didn't think that there was no hope. There was no hope, but there is
Um,
hope.
yeah, there is hope. And so, Glenn, thank you for sharing everything you shared. Thank you for being on this podcast. And I will post the your book in the show notes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Glenn, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it was good to be here. I hope whoever listens to this someone can get, some glimmer of hope. Um, it just, I really want society to know, who, like the human race, to know that when you think there's no hope,
There is hope.
there is hope. You got to do the things. You got to do the hard things. And when I do like my social media videos and stuff, I wear the shirt. The shirt I wear, usually it says "Never give up." And the reason I wear that shirt is to remind myself and my viewers to never give up. Don't ever give up. I don't care. As long as you're breathing, there's hope.
There's hope. Thank you, Glenn.